Welcome back, adventurers and friends, to Adventures Inward Let's Talk series. For those who are here for the first time, hello, welcome, thank you for joining us. Just a reminder to hit that like button and be sure to subscribe. It's free. Don't forget to click on the notification bell if you would like to know when I post new videos. This is going to be a 3-part series encompassing surviving a suicide attempt. Breaking it down as Part 1, the aftermath of attempted suicide. Part 2, getting support after a suicide. And Part 3, supporting someone after a suicide attempt. Just a reminder, for immediate help in the U.S. 24/7, call 988 or go to 988lifeline.org. Outside of the U.S., visit the International Resources page for suicide hotlines in your country. Today, we will be looking at Part 2, getting support after surviving a suicide attempt. So get yourself comfy cozy, open your heart, open your mind, and let's get into it. There is no shame in having attempted suicide, and most survivors go on to lead full, fulfilling lives. But after a non-fatal suicide attempt, it's normal, indeed expected, to feel many conflicting emotions, and survivors may continue to struggle with the mental health or social challenges that drove them to suicidal thoughts in the first place. For this reason, most experts agree that mental health care should be a priority for anyone who survived a suicide attempt, even if they're feeling okay in the immediate aftermath. Beyond that, seeking support from friends and family and identifying meaning and purpose in your life are critical for recovery, as it is reminding oneself that recovery is possible. I survived a suicide attempt. Where can I find support? In the immediate aftermath of a non-fatal suicide attempt, it's critical to seek medical and psychological care, either by calling a local emergency number or going to the nearest hospital. Once stability has been achieved, taking steps to bolster your mental health is imperative. If you are able, you should seek the help of a therapist as soon as possible to help navigate your mental state and learn coping skills to help you guard against future attempts. It's normal to experience feelings of shame after an attempt, to deliberately isolate yourself, or to attempt to keep what happened a secret from others. But social connection is especially important in the wake of a suicide attempt and can be powerfully healing. It's very likely that your loved ones are deeply worried about you and want to help, even if they're not quite sure what to do or say. Experts recommend reaching out to others as much as you're able and letting them know that you are hurting and need their help. Joining a support group can be useful towards this end. Connecting with other attempt survivors can both provide social contact and can help you identify new coping skills that you can make use of if feelings of sadness or instability start to return. In the long term, finding a sense of purpose has been shown to help suicide attempt survivors recover from despair and once again feel there is meaning in life. What that purpose looks like will be different for everyone. Some survivors, for example, choose to share their story with others, to educate them about suicide and emphasize that recovery is possible. But research consistently suggests that suicidal individuals who do not go on to die by suicide cite their desire to contribute to society and help others as an important reason to keep living. Identifying what that might mean for you and pursuing it can be an important step in the road to recovery. I still feel suicidal after a non-fatal suicide attempt. How can I cope with this? Continuing thoughts of suicide are, unfortunately, a reality for some survived of a suicide attempt. The thoughts may be continuous, or they may fade temporarily, but return after a brief respite. Regardless of when they arise, it's imperative to seek help for suicidal thoughts as soon as possible. I know you keep hearing this, but it is important. Either call a local emergency number or a suicidal hotline in your country. It's really important to reach out and find that support. I realized I don't want to die, but am still struggling with depression or other mental health challenges. What are the next steps? Many people who survive a suicide attempt are struck by the sudden realization that, despite the prior allure of their suicidal thoughts, they actually don't want to die. While this is undoubtedly a positive epiphany, it doesn't mean that their mental health concerns or life stressors will immediately disappear. It does, however, lay the groundwork for them to take charge of their mental health and start to identify what they need in order to move toward recovery. The first step, of course, is seeking mental health care. Depression, bipolar disorder, and many other mental health conditions that can lead to thoughts of suicide are highly treatable, and treatment greatly reduces the risk of further suicide attempts. It's important, too, to make a concrete safety plan to help you ward off suicidal thoughts in the future, should they arise. Many experts and attempt survivors also recommend prioritizing self-care and taking care of your physical health as much as possible. Eating healthy food, exercising regularly, and getting enough sleep can have a powerful effect on mood and mental well-being. Self-care isn't a cure-all, but in the wake of a suicide attempt, it can foster self-efficacy and ensure you have the energy and stamina to face mental health challenges as they arise. I'm feeling a new sense of hope after my suicide attempt. Is this normal? Many who survive suicide attempts report that their brush with death made them realize of all they have to live for, and how much they do, in fact, want to be alive. Some even report feeling hopeful for the first time in years. While this sudden reversal of emotions can be uplifting, it can also be confusing in some ways. Someone may question the validity of these emotions, or may harbor fears that they are only temporary. Even someone who is feeling hopeful after an attempt can benefit immensely from seeking help from a trained mental health professional, both to preserve and make sense of their newfound positivity and to help strengthen coping skills that will protect them from future periods of low moods. How can I keep myself safe in the future? Developing a personalized safety plan is an evidence-supported strategy for keeping yourself safe from a future suicide attempt. For example, emergency room patients who made safety plans after being hospitalized for a suicide attempt were 45% less likely to demonstrate further suicidal behavior than those who didn't. Safety plans are theorized to foster self-efficacy, or the belief that one has the necessary skills to confront life's challenges, as well as make coping skills easier to call to mind in a crisis. A suicide safety plan may or may not be a written document. Regardless of whether it's formally written out, it typically includes most or all of the following elements. First, identifying the warning signs of a suicidal crisis to recognize when the individual may be at heightened risk. For example, low mood, persistent thoughts of death, or reckless behaviors. Second, brainstorming distracting activities to engage in when suicidal thoughts arise, such as watching comforting TV, engaging in a hobby, meeting up with a friend, doing a relaxing exercise, or even just getting outside is a great help. Fourth, Name people who can be called on for help if suicidal thoughts or behaviors start to escalate, especially friends and family. And fifth, identify professionals, agencies, suicide hotlines, or other emergency services that can be accessed in a crisis. It's also important to limit access to lethal means as much as possible. This may mean locking up guns, making sure dangerous medications are not easily accessible, or taking other steps to make the immediate environment as safe as possible. Should I tell others about my suicide attempt? Whether to disclose your suicide attempt to trusted others is really up to you. Many people find that being honest about their past struggles with suicidal thoughts or behavior can bring them closer to loved ones. What's more, sharing your mental health history may allow your loved ones to better support you in the future and do their part to keep you safe. Many survivors also come to learn that sharing their story with others helps them process their own feelings about it and is an important step on their continued journey toward mental health. They may find out that their story reduces stigma in their community or offer valuable lessons that may stop others from considering suicide themselves. This is, however, a significant amount of stigma lingering around the subject of suicide and suicide attempts. And unfortunately, some people will not respond empathetically when they learn that someone has attempted suicide in the past. Thus, it's important to only disclose to individuals that you trust, or at least mentally prepare yourself for the possibility of backlash. One's career can add an additional obstacle. Individuals in some professions, like medicine or law enforcement, may worry about facing professional consequences if they disclose past suicide attempts or current mental health problems. While steps are currently being taken to decrease stigma and encourage anyone who needs mental health care to seek it, regardless of their profession, it may still be prudent to carefully weigh any decisions to disclose a past suicide attempt in a professional setting. Remember to be kind to yourself, give yourself grace, and always, always love yourself. Thank you for joining me.